in our heart thank the building, just like you thank your body for healing and recovery, whether it's a paper cut or worse, because it's the instrument, the body temple that houses the soul, and so this building has a soul, and that's what many of you are feeling, a loss of soul maybe. So the building itself has been good to us. We've never had to replace the air conditioning since I've been here. Miracle number 1, or the roof, miracle number 2. There are more. And so we thank the outer form that created for us a space to come together and to meet and to make friends, to establish relationships, to learn about the teaching, to experience healings, to experience transformation, and all those beautiful things. Imagine how much has happened in this building. Imagine the tears, the heartache, the sorrow, the loss. Imagine the joys, the laughter, the connections made. Some of them lifelong intimate relationships, some of them lifelong friendships, some of them lifelong prayer partnerships. And so there's a lot to celebrate, and that includes the difficult times and the easy times. Of course, it's true for all of us. That's the basis of our teaching. We embrace all of it. Imagine all the ceremonies that have happened in here: weddings, memorials, funerals, christening, divorce ceremonies, which I love to do. I know I'm weird that way. The classes, the rituals, the programs, the Sunday celebration, the social hours. I could go on and on. You know, I tried to figure out how many coffee pots were made, how many cups of coffee were drunk, how much food was brought in, how many treatments have been done in this space. So much. And then COVID changed everything. But before that, things were changing, and they will continue to change. We can't hug. We don't hug the way we used to. I miss that. I miss seeing your faces, but now I'm really good at looking at your eyes and knowing what your face is doing, and love you anyway. And so then there are a lot of the people who left. Some of them passed away. We've had a lot of losses. Some people moved away, still miss us. Some people decided this wasn't for them. They wanted to experience something different, or they wanted to experience a different community. All of that is good. I think that movement is good. But what we take with us is the love, and the healing, and the growth, and the changes that we've made, and the connections that we've made. That doesn't stay here. Well, maybe it stays here, because I have this feeling that whoever comes here next is going to feel it, and is going to use it. So I could stand here and talk for an hour and still not say everything I would like to say. And I'm sure you're going to hear what needs to be said today from all the others that are sharing their beautiful heart. But all I can say is the word gratitude, that I have so much gratitude in my heart for every single member and friend that we've had since the beginning of time, every single volunteer, every board member, every practitioner, every minister, and all those who are still in service today, our licensed practitioner, Reverend Janice, our leadership council, because this has been an incredible journey to arrive from deciding to actually doing it. And so my heart is full and overflowing, because each of you have a part in that, whether you like it or not, whether you wanted this or not, because we treat it a lot, and Divine Right Action brought us to this moment, and Divine Right Action is happening, and we're going to tell you later about what's next. I also want to thank every single guest that ever walked in these rooms, whether it was once or 100 times. And of course, every student, because what we're about is the teaching. It will always be that. And so everybody who takes this teaching on and decides to become a student of the science of mind, I know that you are transformed. And so now we're really blessed to have Nina have the program. So I think, oh yes, Theo Tilton will bless us with an opening treatment, which is how we start and end most things. Come on up, Theo.
I feel like I'm on a game show or something now. I was sitting there listening to Reverend Frankie, and I was noticing my body. and like the shakiness and the heart rate. And it literally reminded of the first time I stepped on the stage, which was, I don't know, 10 years ago. I haven't had that feeling since, and so I'm really interested in what's going on, right? And so it's an opportunity. So let's close our eyes and take this opportunity. There is something so powerful, the energy that animates the universe itself is right here, right now. There's no place where it is not. One divine mind that orchestrates everything through divine right action, divine right order, through our being, expresses itself through us, as individuals and as a community. So I declare in this moment, as we honor and give gratitude for the space that we have been, for this temporary time that this building has provided such protection and safety and comfort and the ability to transform hundreds, if not thousands, of lives. We sit and we settle down inside of that gratitude, allowing to come up, whatever comes up for each and every single one of us, because as individualized expressions of the one itself, it's going to manifest itself through our feeling, and it's going to show up in our seats. So just let us be in that moment to move whatever movement decides to come up. And it is blessed. It is good and very good, and I'm so grateful and honored. And so it is.
I am opening, my heart is ready to receive. I am opening, my heart is ready to receive. I am opening, my heart is ready to receive.
For those of you who know me, you know I am a deeply feeling person. I love to open my head. People are laughing, those who know. So I asked to do this next piece because I wanted to create the space for all of us to feel deeply, or as deeply as we choose to feel, but to open our hearts to feel. And Dr. Frankie so beautifully already mentioned so many of the things that have happened in this building. And Theo so accurately mentioned the energy that he felt the first time he moved up on the stage, which I'm feeling again. And the first time I moved up on the stage was 22 years ago. So I invite you to join me in this process of opening your heart and feeling your own feelings as I kind of move you through what you may have experienced here in this building that you are going to take with you. So, can you play behind me, my love?
Yes.
Thank you. And this is my love in real life, so I can sing. So I invite you to close your eyes if you're comfortable doing so, and allow yourself to bring your awareness to your heart space, to that sacred and holy center. And just breathe in and out of your heart as you invite it to open. And now I invite you to remember the very first time you entered this building. The first time you walked up the steps and were greeted at the doors. The first time you walked into the sanctuary, which many people say, I felt like I was home. Let those feelings open your heart again now. Remember the first time maybe you did go downstairs to Friendship Hall and had your first cup of coffee. When I came, you were given a purple mug that said, "I'm new." And people welcomed me. I always remember that. I remember the first person who welcomed me. Maybe you do too. Or the first person that you looked into their eyes and felt a connection. Let that open your heart to that energy, that first connection that stays with you and allows you to keep the connection going. Let yourself open.
I am opening, I am opening. My heart is ready to receive.
Now I invite you to remember all of the connections you have made with the beautiful people that are in your life now. Remember the first friends you made here. You might have met them in class, you might have met them during service, you might have met them in Friendship Hall, you might have met them in the Blended Souls Choir. Think about them. Some of them have come and gone from this center, but they may still be in your life. Lifelong friends. Everyone who is in my life now, I met through this center in some way, and I am so blessed by these friendships. Think of yours, the friendships and the connections, the people who have come through and left their footprints on your heart, and all the footprints you left on the heart of others. Open and receive that love that you carry with you in every part of your life. And let's give thanks for that love that has blessed our hearts and open our hearts to receive even more.
I am opening, I am opening. My heart is ready to receive.
Now let your heart remember all of the inspiration and transformation and healing that has happened to you because of this center, because of the teaching. Remember the classes that you took, the workshops that you took, all of the talks that you heard delivered here that have changed your thinking and changed your life. Let your heart be glad, joyous, grateful for all of that magnificent energy that has moved through you in this container, but that you take with you into your life and that we take with us as the Center for Spiritual Living Morristown, wherever we go. Let your heart receive and let your heart give so much gratitude and love for all the ways you have grown.
I am opening, I am opening. My heart is ready to receive.
And remember all of the amazing and wonderful events that we have here. Perhaps you've gone to art auctions and concerts and shows and comedy shows and spiritual cinema and adventures in faith and dances and all of the fundraisers that our beloved volunteers worked so hard to prepare. Maybe you were those beloved volunteers. Think of all you received by doing that and all you gave by doing that. Maybe you've been served on the Board of Trustees and the Leadership Council. Think of all the blessings you received, all you gave, and all the gratitude that is felt for you, all the volunteers, all the things you contributed that opened your heart. And your heart is open to receive more because you've been in service to this beloved community. And we know that that service continues wherever we go. Everything that we experienced here has led us to live our lives in a holy, holy way. And I know that that holy, holy way remains with us in consciousness and in our hearts as we move to our next greatest yet to be, because it lives in us. We carry it with us wherever we go. And so I invite you to open your eyes and stand up. And we're going to offer each other a greeting in a holy, holy way during this time that we're experiencing. So we're going to just offer a namaste. So turn to people around you and offer a namaste for all that you feel in your heart, for all that you have received, for all the gratitude we have experienced. Knowing that we move forward as the Center for Spiritual Living Morristown in the highest, holiest way, individually and collectively. Stay standing. We're going to sing.
Oh, let me live in a holy, holy way. Let me live in a holy, holy way. Oh, let me live in a holy, holy way. Let me live in a holy, holy way. Oh, let me know that love is all around. Let me know that love is all around me. Oh, let me know that love is all around. Let me know that love is all around me. Oh, let me live in a holy, holy way. Oh, let me live in a holy, holy way. Oh, let me live in a holy, holy way. Oh, let me live in a holy, holy way. Oh, let me live in a holy, holy way. Let me live in a holy, holy way. Oh, let me learn from all the ways I've failed. Let me learn from all the ways I've failed. Oh, let me know that love can heal us all. Let me know that love can heal us all. Oh, let me learn that love can heal us all. Let me learn that love can heal us all. Oh, let me live in a holy, holy way. Oh, let me live in a holy, holy way. Oh, let me live in a holy, holy way. Oh, let me live in a holy, holy way. Oh, let me serve in a holy, holy way. Let me serve in a holy, holy way. Oh, let me share all the good that's overflow. Let me share all the good that's overflow. Oh, let me care for those around the world. Let me care for those around the world. Oh, let me live in a holy, holy way. Oh, let me live in a holy, holy way. Oh, let me live in a holy, holy way. Oh, let me live in a holy, holy way. Oh, let me live in a holy, holy way. Let me live in a holy, holy way.
I'd like to apologize. Wolf and Beaver and Gold and James Crow back there on the piano. And thank you, PN, on sound today. We love you. Thank you. Everyone, please be seated. We are at the point in our celebration where we're going to hear from three really special people. We're going to talk a little bit more about the history here and also about their experience. And the very first person, many of you may not know or remember, I remember her. Her name is Catherine Forsby. And when I first came, I was privileged to have her as a teacher at some point when Dr. Frankie wasn't here, and she filled in. So that was my first experience of her. Well, we're very grateful that she's back to share with us today. Kate.
so it says Catherine. Everybody who knows me here knows me as Kate. Frankie said, mask, your comfort level. Stairs, your comfort level. She didn't know I was going to take my boots off. So, I'm going to read my message because oh, I'm sorry. I think you can hear me without it. Do I need it?
No, we're recording.
So I've kind of messed it up. When I write, my muse comes to me and I know every truth. And so I know that that's what I've shared on these pages. And that's why I'm going to read it to you, Rev, okay? So, and I was asked to do this first segment because I'm the ancient one here. And you'll find out when I arrived. I was born in 1935, an age where you knew what your path would be determined by the level of society you were born into. Okay, I'll take it, thank you. We were shaped by the expectations of our parents, schools, and churches. My parents did have an area of enlightenment, choosing not to have us baptized, leaving us free to choose our own religious beliefs. Okay? No, it's not easy. When I was 5, my beloved 6-year-old brother, Bobby, was killed in an accident. I understood that he could not go to heaven because he was not baptized. Okay? In the Bible, the King James Version that I was introduced to said, except ye be born again, you cannot enter the kingdom of heaven. Well, that couldn't be. There could not be a God who ordained that if a child was not baptized, that child could not go to heaven. So I went on my search. I knew for so many years what I did not believe, but I could not find what I did believe. There was not a remote God ordaining our lives. In my search, I went to Sunday school and church throughout high school and college. I married in the church and had my children baptized and pledged to bring them up in a godly way. I taught Sunday school. I once said, there are others who believe differently. Well, a child went home and told his mother. His mother was outraged. She went to the minister. The minister came to me. I was chastised, and I left the church. Okay. So, while I was floundering, a person said to me, you should go to that church my wife goes to. That was Science of Mind in Morristown. See how far back? Reverend Tom Johnson. Okay, we met in the theater and we went over to the Y for our social hour. And it was a new thought. I learned there was not a God who sat in the distance declaring who was worthy of salvation. And I could not accept a church where the clergy intervened between God and me. There was not a God who would choose to let a baby starve or to let a scoundrel thrive. Couldn't be that God. I found that the entire universe, when I came here, I found, was spirit and intelligence. I learned that I was this particular manifestation of that intelligence. I stayed. Frankie came. And when I first came with the first Sunday with Frankie, I thought, oh God, this is it. This is it for me. She tells the truth, I know. So I took classes, I became a practitioner, and I knew that I could help people heal themselves because I knew that there was a universe of such great intelligence that anything it could create, it could recreate. People simply needed to be able to accept that, and I could lead them to it. Okay? So, during that time, my practices of yoga led me to become an instructor, a certified instructor. And I was invited to teach a Sunday class at another location. And so for quite a number of years, 15 years, I was not here. But here was with me, because teaching was just part of my life. My first yoga teacher was Satchidananda. Oh my goodness, renowned worldwide. He said, there are many paths up the mountain, At the top, there is only truth. And I have found my truth. I formed for myself. I will know what I need to know when I need to know it. And then everything was easy, right? So this congregation is physically moving, but the teaching goes with it. Okay? And in the new location, I just learned it's Mendham. That's half the trip for me. Yeah, after so many years. So wherever it may be, the spirit of the universe will be shared. And it will still be with me, and I will always be so thankful I found this. Thank you. Now I have the honor, Joy, where are you? Yes, to introduce the Reverend John Hannes.
Welcome. Hello. I think I had some papers here. Did I leave them back there?
Yes.
Maybe that's the way it goes. Oh, no, number one. That's good. I remember the stage very well. Oh, here it is. So it's so pleasant to be here. As if you've been with me a long time, you've watched the aging of my eyesight. And my spot in our succession of description is the middle years, the decade of the millennium. And for me, I've always been spiritually inquisitive, even as a kid. And in about 1998, this connection was reignited after a medical wake-up. And my first visit to First Church of Religious Science, Morristown, was somewhere in 1999 or 2000. It was the last Sunday using the old blue and yellow movie theater seating, after which came the carpet and the chairs that are here today. The divine changes form, and so does the sanctuary. Rows in a pulpit, and for a period, concentric circles, where the speaker was in the middle. It was an intense period of learning, serving, and applying principle that came with thousands of commute miles, traveling 45 to 50 minutes, sometimes 3 times a week from work in Rockland County or home in Bergen County. My car was an autopilot coming down Route 287 and along adjacent side roads to pick up a drink or fill up with gas. At that time, Reverend Frankie was well established, having been in Morristown for about 7 years. And the church had a well-developed practitioner corps where I first met Kate. But there was Howard, Val, Shirley, Jillian, Alexandra, and I'm sure there were others. Reverend Michelle was just completing her minister's credential and then became a staff minister. And lovely Jennifer Berkeley had recently moved from Los Angeles and joined the practitioner. I enrolled in Science of Mind classes with Reverend Frankie and others. We enjoyed the material, the Q&A, the deeper understanding of spiritual ideas in the atmosphere that was open at the top. Those years, we had a large group of hungry Science of Mind 100 and 200 students who became my co-spiritual adventurers. Janice and Gail Martin were in my classes. We grew our practice and understanding individually, and later speaking or doing our prayers, affirmative prayers for homework in written form, and later speaking them. The conceptual ideas of Ernest Holmes, Troward, Addington, Emerson, Butterworth were our basis. A tradition at FCRS, now CSL, Morristown, was food after service. Steve and Margaret Corsello were key leaders of the kitchen ministry. It was no easier in 2001 than in 2010. Great food and lasting conversation, a lot of effort to organize, clean up, and take out the trash. In April 2001, I joined the first monthly men's meeting, Men Who Care, now celebrating 21 years this April. It was an idea put forth by Paul Trena, Joe Lavinia, and Steve Worthing. Bill Wicke, a longtime member, is Bill here today?
Yes.
He's in the back.
Oh, hello, Bill.
Way in the back.
Okay.
It's like in the hole.
Okay.
See his feet.
Attended FCRS in Jockey Hollow well before this building. He brought his insight, wit, poetry, and humor at Morristown. Pointing out the shadow side at Men Who Care, Bill's comment was, men, we really might name ourselves Men Who Don't Give a Fuck. Bill also led a Friday night poetry group. And in those early years, he was on the ladder, painting and priming and repairing. He is a friend and inspiration. It was in that 2003 to 2006 period that Jennifer, Janice, Rich, Stephen Bartlett, and I studied for ministry at Science of Mind 400 with Reverend Frankie. After 2 years, we went to Asilomar for a week of final classes and panel interviews, leading to us becoming staff ministers here and for Rich in Montclair. And every year for nearly a decade, Reverend Frankie, staff ministers and practitioners would prepare and present Adventures in Faith. Each program had a 7-week focus, special music, rotating topics, and speakers. Each week, participants had a call to action. The culmination was the Harvest Ball, a dinner and auction. We celebrated both the 45th and the 50th anniversary of CSL Morristown at these joyous music and dancing filled events. I have to share that Reverend Janice's rendition of Meatloaf's Let Me Sleep on It stands out in my mind. She expressed that feeling tone that she was talking about. Now, sailing, wind, and waves and sunsets are ways that I experience the divine, still to this day. In about 2005, I began offering Hudson River sailing excursions for the Harvest Ball auction. The boats 1 and plus 1, 22-foot sailboats, were extended sanctuaries of 331 Mount Kimball Road, where friends, families, groups of men could experience nature's divinity on the water. Part of my ministry and time in service was with youth and teens. So volunteers Kathy Kurtz, Stephen Bartlett, Bill Curran, and a host of others stand out for their contribution in love and teaching our youth. Part of my staff ministry was later to begin a teen group. We grew from a handful in 2009 to a group of over a dozen a year later. These kids are all mid-20s now. Other over 18 advisors were trained and joined, and we met on Sunday mornings. We traveled from Maryland to Rhode Island to overnight events. Some traveled to summer camp out in California. And in 2009, we held an 8-week coming-of-age immersion into science, mind, philosophy, where we taught and practiced basic principles of love, kindness, mutual respect, while celebrating the individual and the group. These were teens in Montclair and Morristown. So in thinking of this number of years, there are certain pillars who stand out. One is John Welshans, who speaks here about every year and brings a heartfelt, deep message. But he also was the conduit to help get Ramdas here for a full packed event. One of the earliest ones I remember was Don Miguel Ruiz speaking on the 4 agreements. And I remember 2 or 3 different periods of choirs with members and solos. And what really stood out for me was a period of about 5 years where many people volunteered to preview, rent, and promote 3 days of unique films as a regional outreach that was open to the whole public. Gail Martin was the chair, And people learned about the center by coming to that film festival for many years. There was an artist showcase. I guess that's all shut down when COVID began. But then I was blessed to see Steve Weiss in the back row and holding the high watch, which he often does. And he and Connie, along with a group of Courtney, Rena, and Ruth, organized trivia nights and movie nights, all downstairs. And the center is moving from this building, but there were caretakers who really stood out for this building, and one was Don Wojak.
Mm-hmm.
He took his construction skills and just applied them to any little problem. Alan Sherwood, a ready volunteer, trimming trees on his own, adding railing to the front steps. And Don Robbins and Nancy Green, who spent years in design and renovation, fundraising, aiding building accessibility, and as members in the finance ministry. And there's countless more. It's hard to forget. So then, becoming a minister and being a staff minister here, I had the opportunity to teach classes. And so to really learn something, go ahead and teach it. Take those probing questions from your students and try to answer them or explore them. So I enjoyed teaching classes, especially Emerson's essays, Joseph Campbell, and Myth and Spirit, and the starter class, Foundations. It's such a gift to witness a student study, question, and become aware of their divine nature. In every 8-week class, we would end with students presenting their capstone project. I would lead a great crescendo about anticipation about the pressure of putting on a capstone project. However, whatever was presented was really what was made to be there. If you are web inclined, you can still find my teaching assistant, Gail Belardo, on YouTube, presenting the message of explaining Troward.
Oh.
So I have always been spiritually inquisitive, even as a kid. And First Church of Religious Science, CSL Morristown, were key parts, along with the people here, in gaining an understanding and practicing my divine nature. So 331 Mount Kemble, we leave you now as a building, but the principle, the idea of God is much greater than anything that was at this building. It's greater than, it was a perfect place of community and activities and application of principle, but now we do that at the next spot. So our next speaker covers the decade after me, and I'm pleased to present Gail Belardo.
Oh my. Oh my. I'm always supposed to be project, right, Reverend Frankie? Oh my. In preparing for this, I had so many thoughts, feelings, emotions, a lot of memories of the people I've met here, my first time here, seeing Reverend Frankie speak for the first time. I'm supposed to do from 2011 on, so I will do my best. But essentially, I came here 15 years ago, in 2006. And I had the experience that I think everyone who comes here and decides to come back has, which is that discovery. There's a sense of discovery. It's a discovery of a place where you could be yourself fully. You could be fully human, and yet you can also, and you did also, discover your divinity. And in your divinity, I began to really discover a depth of awareness, a consciousness a presence within that has been sustaining me ever since. And so I think that that's what draws us back here. It is the teaching. It's definitely the teaching. It's definitely the work of Ernest Holmes and all the other great masters that brings us here. But it's that sense that we find ourselves here. We find that dimension of ourselves here that is the greater part of who we are. And we learn that we are part of that greater experience that is all life, that is God's life. And so in thinking about how I became involved here, a lot of it had to do with connection. And I came here not knowing that I was trying to heal separation. And the first principle of the science of mind is that there is only one life. That life is God's life, that life is our life. And so that sense of separation is something that I have always had the chance and the opportunity to heal repeatedly in my relationships, in my growth here, in my work, in every area of my life, that coming back to that wholeness that is God, that is in us, that is of us, that we are within and that is within us. And I remember doing that, and doing that in community is the first time I've ever had that experience of finding a home in a family, a spiritual home. Yes, in this building, this beautiful building that I'm going to miss terribly. And I'm saying that, I'm going to miss it terribly. But it's okay, because form always changes. And what I have learned in this teaching is that the essence never changes. The essence of who we are never changes. And so what happened in those years that I've been here, I started taking classes with Reverend Jennifer Berkeley, 2 years with her. I got steeped in the teaching. I started to recognize the God within me, the God within you, the God everywhere. And at the same time, I started to grapple with my human experience. Now I had to think differently. Now I had to feel differently. Now I couldn't just be my reactions. Now I had to be something greater. And I was called to that. And each one of us is called to that. And so I took classes. My first 2 years were with Reverend Jennifer. Then I took the second year of classes, some with her, and then 2 with Reverend Janice. I took the Troward classes with Reverend Janice. And I remember her saying that it was her first class at the center, and how it seems so much, and yet it's so clear. It's the law. It's the law that we learn. It's the law of spiritual unfoldment in the creative process. And I took the class with you as far as the Greg Brady, comparing science of mind to Greg Brady. So the whole, then, all of a sudden, we got to see on a greater way that quantum physics really is our teaching. Mm-hmm. And so science of mind brings that into such an avenue of evolution for each one of us. And so I took Reverend John's class in the Emerson essays, which I did not understand at all, because I was a very left-brain thinker. And hearing me talk now, you would not know I was so left-brain in the past, but I was very left-brain. And it just opened my mind, blew my mind in terms of the poetic part of our teaching and the mystical part of our teaching. And then I took practitioner training with Reverend Frankie, and in that respect, she blew my mind as far as my mystical side. She's very mystical, and that whole opening of the process of that consciousness. So that's my personal journey. And then I became a practitioner, and I taught. But along the way, I was involved in a lot of amazing things. The Awaken International Spiritual Film Festival that Reverend John referenced. Vicki Roche was in that. Gail Marfin, Bill Curran was part of that.
there are a number of people that we came together and we really brought forth that awareness that the movies were really speaking to us about our spirituality. And then we had the healing circle that I ran the healing circle for about 9 years. We had a high watch team where we would sit as Stephen is doing for us today. Irene Avlanides was a part of that. Michael Johnson, who's here, is a part of that. I'm trying to think, is there anyone else who's here? Kathy was here, was part of that. So, and forgive me, everyone doesn't always look the same with a mask on. So essentially, so we had that sense of the deepening of consciousness of God's presence, and God's presence here with each one of us. And so we went from that, and of course we had the Masquerade Ball, we had concerts, we've had a number of activities and workshops where people gave of their hearts, gave of their minds, gave of their tithing and giving a tremendous sense of oneself. And so I know I'm very right-brained right now, so I apologize for being in the moment and in the feeling, because I had it all written down and I can't follow this. I have to follow the heart.
Yeah.
So thank you, Reverend Janice, for that, for everything, for each one of you, everything. We have had so many workshops. We now have an education team that's presenting our programs. We've had classes. We've had Prosperity Plus with Theo. We've had so many classes, all these faces here, people coming back. It's one life. It's all one life. It's all our life. And I'm going to miss this building, but I know we're going somewhere that's going to be magical. I know that we are taking with us the energy, the love, the connection, the vitality, the divine knowingness. And so I'm just grateful for this building. I'm so grateful for everyone who's come in this building, for all the ways that people show up in all of our humanity as we struggle to be more divine in our human form. And so I'm just deeply grateful. And now I'm very pleased to say thank you, Mother, Father, God.
I've never stood in lack. It's only been my thoughts that somehow held me back. It's that still small voice within me that wants to have its say. I close my eyes and listen, and let God have its way. Oh, I stand before the Holy One. When I look into your eyes, I'm reminded of my greatness, of God's complete supply. You mirror what I need to learn. You mirror what I am. You are that loving presence, and now I understand. It's in the gentle faces of children on the wind. It's in the gentle traces of loving fingers on your skin. It's the trials and the triumphs, it's the losses and the wins. It's everything I've ever known. It's all that God has been. Oh, I stand before the Holy One. When I look into your eyes, I'm reminded of my greatness, God's complete supply. You mirror what I need to learn. You mirror what I am. You are that loving presence, and now I understand.
Join us.
lot today about change. We've shared so much about what we've experienced here and felt so much. And I think ending with what our beautiful Gail Belardo said is that the essence of who we are is what we always have. And the essence of everything that we experienced here is who we are now. And wherever we go, we bring that. We're still experiencing change. And change is life. Life is change. But we all experience it in different ways. And so me, of course, the feeling experiential person, has one more thing to share. I'm going to share with you a poem that was written by Cahill Gibran, and it's called Fear. I'm not encouraging that, but I'm going to read the poem very slowly and take a pause between parts of it. And I invite you to experience the words and experience whatever they invoke or evoke in you. Perhaps put yourself in the place of this actual analogy. I'll be talking about a stream in the ocean, and you'll know what to do. The still small voice within you will guide you. It is said that before entering the sea, a river trembles with fear. She looks back at the path she has traveled, from the peaks of the mountains, the long winding road crossing forests and villages. And in front of her, she sees an ocean so vast that to enter there seems nothing more than to disappear forever. But there is no other way. The river cannot go back. Nobody can go back. To go back is impossible in existence. The river needs to take the risk of entering the ocean, because only then will fear disappear. Because that's where the river will know. It's not about disappearing into the ocean, but of becoming the ocean. So, dear beloved friends, I think it's time for the letting go. It's time to let go of where we stand on this holy ground in order to enter into our next greatest becoming. Yes, it's time for the letting go.
enslaving the love that was me, that was me. For the sake of the rest of my life, I'm willing to surrender it all, resentment and fear, the anger and tears. God, give me the strength to let it go. It's time to let it go. It's time to let it go. Forgiveness was all I had left to heal these wounds and clean up the mess. Salvation came with no price. The moment I knew I didn't have to think twice anymore, anymore. For the sake of the rest of my life, ready to surrender it all, the hurt and the shame, the ache, the pain. Oh, give me the strength to let it go. For the sake of the rest of my life, willing to surrender it all. Resentment and fear, the anger and tears. For the sake of the rest of my life, willing to surrender it all. The guilt and the shame, the judgment and blame. God, give me the strength to let it go. It's time for the 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 let it go.
I'm going to have to introduce myself, I see. Many of you know me. I'm Gail Jones. I'm the baby practitioner student. I just completed my first year practitioner studies here. And it was a joy and an honor today to hear from those who've gone before me who I never met before. And I see I have big shoes to fill, but I am accepting the torch for the next chapter. And so now that we've had our walk down memory lane and all the nostalgia, the memories of everything that I've missed, I only go back to 2017. So, but I appreciate hearing it, and I feel very encouraged and excited for the future. And so my role right now is to take us from the past into the future, to lead us into embracing the change that is always good, because I always tell my clients that change is not about what you're letting go of, it's about what you're going to gain. There's always something new to gain from change. And so we can't evolve spiritually without it. And so right now I'm going to lead us in some affirmations. We're going to cleanse our mental, emotional, and spiritual palettes and step into all the new possibilities of the new location. And my role in being your practitioner pretty soon. So I would like you to repeat after me. I'm going to invite you to do something, though, if you will. I would like to see, even though you have on masks, I would like to see smiles. We want to bring new energy, new excitement, new optimism. We want to live our vibration right now. So even though I can't see your mask, I can see your smile behind your mask, I can see your smiling eyes. So I'm watching. So if you will, repeat after me. I'm still waiting for the smiles. All prayers are being answered.
All prayers are being answered.
God is carving a path.
God is carving a path.
Uniquely designed just for Center for Spiritual Living Morristown.
Uniquely designed just for Center for Spiritual Living Morristown.
My faith grows exponentially every day.
My faith grows exponentially every day.
All things are working together for good.
All things are working together for good.
I embrace this journey.
I embrace this journey.
I surrender my will today.
I surrender my will today.
In this moment.
In this moment.
To welcome all that God has for us.
To welcome all that God has for us.
I trust the timing of life.
I trust the timing of life.
I trust the process.
I trust the process.
Because it's what makes the story beautiful.
Because it's what makes the story beautiful.
I gently release the need for control.
I gently release the need for control.
I let go of what is behind.
I let go of what is behind.
And reach toward what is before us.
And reach toward what is before us.
I am thrilled with everything exactly as it is now.
I am thrilled with everything exactly as it is now.
Each time I breathe, I relax and let go.
Each time I breathe, I relax and let go.
I trust the universe.
I trust the universe.
My spirit is free and joyful.
My spirit is free and joyful.
I feel empowered to let go.
I feel empowered to let go.
Smiles.
And so it is.
So it is.
I'm kind of speechless now. I know that's hard for some of you to believe. It's perfect, right, Janice? The whole planning where every day something changed because somebody was sick or couldn't make it, or because we had a wonderful interactive experience planned and that didn't feel safe. It's still a beautiful experience to be together and to listen and to hear all the sharing and to now think about 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 years from now when there will be this kind of event and there will be a reflection on all that has happened, because I know our story doesn't end here. We all know that, right? The only change is our next new spiritual home, and I'm really excited because I have something in my hot little hands that was just given to me today. These are the keys to our new space. It took a while, and it took a lot of effort and a lot of faith, a lot of trust, a lot of treatment, a lot of visioning, a lot of support from all of you and love from all of you. But Franny, who's been incredibly committed and diligent to make this happen. I'm so grateful. New Year's Eve, she's out there getting the contract signed and getting the keys. So we will be meeting at Brookside Church, Community Church in Brookside, which is 7.4 miles from here, and it's 12 minutes the way I drive, which is pretty chill, more chill than it used to be. And it's a beautiful landscape, and it's on the north end of Mendon, but we will send you all that information to let you know, because that's where we're going to be next Sunday. And it's going to be a wonderful experience because the community that we're going to join with by renting space from them. It's a separate wing, we have our own space, but it's a very progressive community, and they do a lot of community service, and we're going to do some wonderful projects with them. I also believe that the way we've done church doesn't work anymore. So we're going to be doing some visioning and talking about how can we do it differently, because my vision is that every person that's hungry for spiritual community out there and hasn't found it yet, just like each of you before you found this space, for myself too when I found teaching, and is looking for a spiritual technology, a teaching that works really powerfully when we work it, that we can create space for that in a contemporary way, in a way that serves humanity today, which isn't the same as it has been. It's not me standing up here and you listening. It's a collective participatory process, and we will be doing some visioning and some ideas on how we can make that happen. In the meantime, today you probably noticed what's still in the way, what still wants to be healed, what still wants to be felt, what still wants to be released. And that's okay, because they say grief can take 1 to 3 years after a loss. And I know for some of you, this is a loss. And for some of you, it's a huge celebration and a freedom, and then everything in between. And so Brookside Church is at 8 East Main Street. Our zip code is 07926 for our mailing address. And there is no mail delivery, because it's a teeny tiny little town, and everybody has to go to the post office and have a post office box like we used to have. And when I was there the other day opening the post office box, I made 10 friends. I was welcomed by 10 people saying, "Oh, welcome to the community." So I can already tell that I'm going to be great friends with Jason at the post office, because he's freaking adorable. And so that's the kind of town we will be in. There's 2 more things I want to share with you. One is that, no, 3, maybe 4, is looking at you and looking at this space and seeing everybody here. There are more people here than I thought. It's been a while because of COVID and because of many other reasons, right? So each of you have a gift to share, to celebrate our community and to move it forward in its new reiteration. Whether that's quietly in your prayers or in your treatments or in your heart, or whether that's being part of it in some way, shape, or form. But as you know how much you love this community, imagine how many people are out there that are so lonely and would love to have community, that have no spiritual food, like Kate was sharing, the kind of faith they were raised in doesn't work for them. And you know how it works for you. So really open your heart to this idea that people are hungry, they want this, and they want to find it, and that you're the voice for it. You're the invitation. 2 things. One of the things we wanted to do was a process where we could give you something, but right now there is a basket on the back table, and it's been sitting on my altar for a solid week, where I meditate and treat and journal and create and all that. And so these are prayed on. I know each of you are going to have the perfect right card with the perfect right affirmation. So take a card. And then also, Trader Joe's. I never bring these home from Trader Joe's ever, because I carry my own bags. But Eileen was so kind to pick these up. These hold about 20 books. So in the foyer and on the windowsill, and there are bookshelves with books that were used that we want you to look at and take. This week I added most of the books in my bookshelf in my office. So there are new ones there if you haven't looked lately. I want you to fill these bags up. There's one for each of you, just about, with all these books, whether you take them home or give them away or recycle them or take them to your local library or your local thrift store. Please fill them up and take it with you, because that helps us finish our packing this week and cleaning the space. So, anybody excited about this? Here's your first bag. All right, thank you so so much, Jean Marie and Rich. Beautiful music. Thank you, Jen. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, all the speakers, the sharers, the treaters, the practitioners, Reverend Janice. It's really been an incredibly special celebration. Let's close with a healing treatment, shall we? So, as we close this last Sunday celebration in this particular space, we have asked, we have believed, and we have received. We have asked many, many times to find solutions to be moving forward in a sustainable way. We have believed that this beautiful teaching demonstrates when we use it. We have treated and visioned, trusting that the law takes care of the rest. And we have received answers, solutions, and the perfect right outcome, whether we like it or not. And so right here, right now, we trust from the deepest place of our being that all is well. That all is well with our heart, our mind, our body, our soul, individually and collectively. We bless everyone on the journey that has brought us to this moment, and everyone to come who shall be a part of it. We celebrate all the healing, which is simply Spirit revealing itself, that has taken place, is taking place now, and shall take place forevermore, because that's life. And we know how much the world needs it. And so that just means that the world needs us, and our faith, and our dedication, and our commitment to healing and living life in a healthy, abundant, creative, joy-filled way. And so we release everything that's in the way, whether we're aware of it or not, allowing ourselves to feel completely free, completely present in the moment, and completely excited about what is to come. Knowing that one of the things that we've learned from COVID is uncertainty is all there is. The only certainty is our connection with the divine and how that shows up, how that is lived. And so we are blessed, we are grateful, we are in awe of the creative process, and we celebrate by means of saying together, and so it is.
Thank you, Reverend Frankie. I'd like to say thank you to everybody who put this together, Bien for doing the sound, and Reverend Janice. I saw her, I don't know how many versions of it. She kept coming up with a new one. All right, this one, all right, come up, throw the other one away. And Jean Marie Rosone, who is going through some personal challenges and showed up for rehearsals, and we put these tunes together. We actually wrote one for you. And to Craig Benelli and Laura Berman for letting us use the Letting Go. Our dear friends.
I have one more thing I want to say. I really want to acknowledge and thank, for so many years, we had a wonderful administrator, Connie Weiss, and she wasn't mentioned, and I'm mentioning her, and she isn't with us any longer, but her essence is with all of us. Her husband, Steve, is here, was here, and carried the energy of her. So I thank Connie, I thank Steve, the entire Weiss family for all their commitment over the years. And I just wanted to say again, thank you to every single one of you. I can't tell you how much this center has meant to me and will continue to mean to me. I want to thank the Leadership Council too for all the work you've done. Anyone who served on it. Vicky's here today from when all of this even first began. So every one of you, it's been so incredible. And Reverend Frankie, of course, is the leader of the Leadership Council, but all the work you've done tirelessly has been amazing to get us to this point. And I'm so grateful to be reconnected at this time. And I'm so grateful that we continue to ask, believe, and receive.
Ask, believe, receive.
Every day I
Ask, believe, receive.
every way I
Ask, believe, receive.
every prayer I
Ask, believe, receive.
receive. Come on and say, ask, believe, receive. Everything. Ask, believe, receive. Everything. Ask, believe, receive. Everything. Ask, believe, receive. Ask, believe, receive. Ask, believe, receive. Everything. Ask, believe, receive. Everything. Ask, believe, receive. Everything. Ask, believe, receive. Oh, ask, believe, receive. Everything. Ask, believe, receive. Everything. Ask, believe, receive. Everything. Ask, believe, receive. Ask, believe, receive. Ask, believe, receive. Oh, ask, believe, receive. Yeah. Ask, believe, receive. Let me hear you say, ask, believe, receive. Oh, ask, believe, receive. Sing it loud now. Ask, believe, receive. Oh, ask, believe, receive. Ask, believe, receive. Ask, believe, receive. Every day. Ask, believe, receive. Let's hear James Brother. Where's that now? Here we go now. Ask, believe, receive. Oh, ask, believe, receive. Ask, believe, receive. Oh, ask, believe, receive. I my feet as I take some books. There's some books on there. Now feet. While I'm running this race, oh, with God, my feet. While I run this race, I say, God, my feet. While I run this race, 'cause I don't want to run this race in vain. Buy some books. Oh yeah, I said buy some books. While I run this race, oh, take some books. While I sing this song, take some books. While we sing this song, because there's no one to have any books left over. I said no, my truth. While I run this race, oh no, my truth. While I run this race, I said no, my truth. While I run this race, 'cause I don't want to run this race in vain. 'Cause I don't want to run this race in vain. 'Cause I don't want to run this race in vain.
Hi, Alan. I'm not hugging at the moment. Nice to see you. Nice to see you.
I'm good. How are you? Doing good. Doing good.
Yes. It got so appreciated. It's been a long time.
I'm hugging like this right now. Happy New Year. Happy New Year. Good to see you. It's been like 2 years almost since this pandemic.
It's so good to see you again. How are you doing? You did. How's she doing?
I did miss you guys in my books.
Yes, he is doing well. How did you know that my nephew?
We were trying to figure out how to fit it in.
Oh my
Oh,
God.
the newest one. Oh, okay.
That's one
I thought you meant my nephew that had COVID. No,
I remember from so
you
many
know,
years
he's
ago
really
singing
good.
with Jared.
Yeah, so many years ago. So how you doing? You all right?
Yeah.
You still working at the Arboretum?
Everything's on Facebook, so I
God
don't know.
bless you.
Did you go fix that Facebook product?
To feel like a teenager with a new bike in the world. And it's been challenging. We were just realizing that like we have this great like filled day and then we have this quiet day and it's still like we're scoping it out.
Well, we could all look at it as we're on a massive ball every day.
Sure.
I didn't see it.
And we want to be safe and stay safe.
Yeah.
Hey, very nice. It was great to hear you.
Nice job.
Oh, that's Jake.
John, I just like teared up the minute I saw you. It's so great to be
I
in
think
your
you often, yeah. And I haven't, this is for Rich too, I haven't given up sailing, so I hope we can do some river stuff. And, I feel like we haven't caught up in a long time. It's been hard to. I'm not a big phone guy. But,
Nobody is anymore.
I remember I was thinking because when Collins and I dug some of the plants and put it in here, that was the Saturday you and me got married. So what's that? That's supposed to come? Okay.
And John, I was remembering when I brought a monarch butterfly to a celebration, and you were here and you spoke,
Find somebody to give this to.
and you spoke with your dad, and we released the butterfly after the celebration. There's been a lot of great memories. Are you doing well? Milford or that would be great. Have you heard the Delaware River Sojourn?
I'll try to see it.
I've wanted to do this for years, and I'm hoping that
That's the track.
it's like the day trek from the headwaters in New York down to somewhere in New Jersey,
You know, we're in Sullivan County, the town of Barry.